Hey gang, Dennis Tubbergen here with another economic update. I have on the screen today an article that was published about a week ago on May 14, and today is Tuesday, May 22, 2018. This is a Bloomberg article consisting of bullet points, and the headline on the article says subprime auto loan delinquency rate highest in more than 20 years. Borrowers in the U.S. are defaulting on subprime auto loans at the highest rate since 1996, exceeding what the delinquency rate was during the financial crisis. Subprime auto loans more than 60 days past due are 5.8% of these loans, or a little better than 1 in 20, are delinquent. That's according to data pulled from Fitch in March. Lenders are pulling back. They're loaning subprime borrowers about 10% fewer loans now than a year ago. Now, to expand on that, here is an article, actually a blog entry from May 16, just a couple days later. Used car prices had their biggest drop in 9 years, most since the Great Recession. This confirms the fact that subprime delinquencies are uncomfortably high and it's only getting worse. There is 1.1 trillion in auto debt currently outstanding, and as the writer points out here, as the Fed tightens and rates rise, these car loans are becoming harder to service, and new loan growth has decreased significantly. When interest rates are higher, people don't buy as quickly. Today's subprime auto market is similar to the early days of the subprime mortgage implosion in 2007. Just like then, as the Fed keeps tightening, it will worsen. Now, if you take a look at the delinquency rate here, and I'll blow this up for you, auto loans 60 or more days delinquent. And if you take a look at where it was, subprime borrowers were only less than 2% delinquent just about 5 years ago or so, 6 years ago. Now it's approaching 6%. So that has more than tripled, actually, so significantly up there. And if you look at where it was at the peak of the financial crisis, it was only 5%. So it's higher now than it was then, and almost as high as it was back in 1996. Now, this is the point. The writer points out that what's interesting and worrisome is that consumers are defaulting on subprime auto loans when the economy is supposedly doing very well. He said, like he wrote last week, there are cracks in the economy's foundation. I certainly agree with that. And if you take a look at the yield curve that is flattening, that has been an historical predictor of recession. Very reliable predictor, historically speaking. And that yield curve is flattening as well. Now, he concludes the article by saying, I can't help but feel a bit nostalgic. This was the same situation that led to the 2008 housing crisis. First, there was massive growth in mortgage-backed securities and mortgage debt. Then the Federal Reserve, led by Alan Greenspan, began aggressively raising rates after years of low rates. Soon after, subprime loans started blowing up, which trickled into prime loans. And eventually, everything was in chaos. We believe with private sector debt levels at historic highs, in fact, worldwide total debt, sovereign debt and public sector debt, is up from about 140 trillion plus to more than 230 trillion. A repeat of what we saw in 2007, 2008 is coming, I believe, and I believe it will be probably worse by a long shot than what we saw then. So I would advise you to be prepared. Use the two-bucket approach in managing investments. Make sure you have an inflation hedge and a deflation hedge. That's today's economic update. It's Tuesday, May 22, 2018. I'm Dennis Tubbergen.